strike first. Goes after the first one, drills a high fly ball. Left center field. This game is tied. From Javier, Seager hits a high fly ball. Deep right field. A bomb in the first. Drive. It's tied. Corey Seager smashes the ball. Down the line. Goodbye. Now Seager to right center field. Way back there. Seager does it again. The Willie Mays Most Valuable Player Trophy presented by Chevrolet. Is there any doubt? Corey Seager.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live. Coming at you in the middle of the MLB postseason, in the midst, sadly, of a Texas Rangers offseason. But there is much promise for 2025, and we're going to cover a lot here in the show today. We're going to go through some of the rumors that we've heard swirling around the Texas Rangers offseason now that exit interviews are over. We're going to go through Rangers in the news. We're going to also talk through MLB playoffs a little bit. Just watched that Dodgers-Padres game. Man, that's going to be a great Game 5 in a couple of days on Friday. I'm excited. Playoffs have been pretty good so far. You know what? For the Rangers not being in it, playoffs have been pretty good so far. Can't complain. Kind of a familiar theme from last year, if we're being honest. You remember last year what the Texas Rangers were able to accomplish. I really feel like you're seeing a similar trend this year. We're going to get to that in just a second. Now, I will get to comments throughout the show. If you have a comment, you have a question, you have something that you want to talk about, please throw it my way. Would be more than happy to talk about it as we go throughout our various topics on the day. But let's get right to it. So, the Rangers, not a lot of offseason news so far. The Rangers have finished their exit interviews. We talked a lot last week about Chris Young, about Bruce Bochy. We talked through some of the different comments, some of the different main points that they made on their way out into the offseason. And it really does seem like the play is going to be to improve from within as much as possible, maybe with the exception of the bullpen. There's a couple of guys that the Rangers are losing that we know are top priorities. Andrew Heaney, and then also Nate Eovaldi. Those are the two guys Chris Young mentioned by name. Not a lot else in that department, although I did see an interesting article, Sports Illustrated, talking about Jordan Montgomery and potential trades for him. Last week, we covered pretty exclusively on the show Jordan Montgomery, the comments made by the Arizona Diamondbacks manager, calling it the worst or one of the worst transactions of his career as an owner. I mean, pretty strong words. I say bring Jordan Montgomery back to Texas. I believe there was a Sports Illustrated writer who actually writes for the Cardinals, one of Jordan Montgomery's former teams, that discussed this potential trade. Could the Rangers send maybe some lower level prospects? Could they maybe also add in maybe a little bit of cash into the deal? Perhaps not too much, right? Maybe paying a little bit of that Jordan Montgomery salary. And you've got Monty back in a starting role, maybe a fifth, fourth, sixth, I don't know, all over the place with the numbers, but I think you catch my drift. Jordan Montgomery, probably at this point, with what you have shaping up for the Rangers, a back-end starter, maybe a guy that you use for longer relief. I do like the idea of Jordan Montgomery coming back. I don't think he really ever wanted to leave Texas. I do think ultimately what happened with Jordan Montgomery was Scott Boras. Scott Boras definitely wanted Jordan Montgomery to get the most money possible. The strategy was interesting. It paid off for some of his clients. The waiting till the 11th hour, missing spring training, all of that. I'm not a huge fan of that because if you played the game of baseball, I think you understand most baseball players are creatures of habit. and to not have a spring training. Just not wise, in my opinion. Not something as a player I would want to do. Look, Jordan Montgomery, you have to figure before spring training started, had some offers on the table. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they've chronicled the discussions between Chris Young and Jordan Montgomery last offseason. That would be an interesting breakdown. These are the types of things I wish we heard more about in baseball. Like, what are these discussions like behind closed doors? This is the kind of stuff that really intrigues me. What was the Rangers' final offer to Jordan Montgomery? Did they offer anything at all to Jordan Montgomery and Scott Boras? Or were they content to totally allow Jordan Montgomery to test out other teams, knowing he was probably going to be above what the Rangers were willing to pay? Appreciate the follow, by the way. Seeing a couple of y'all on TikTok. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. I know that it would be a nice move for Rangers fans in an offseason where I don't think we can really be expecting the Rangers to go after anyone too crazy. I'm seeing Juan Soto. Man, that is a pipe dream. I'm here for it. Juan Soto is definitely somebody that the Rangers will not be getting, unfortunately. Would I love to see it? Yes, sir. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't. I would be happy if the Rangers got Santander. I've said his name plenty over the past month for the Orioles. I think even he is going to command a pretty penny. I don't think the Rangers are going to be in the market for a big-time bat. I surely hope to be wrong, but I do think that they are going to shore up the bullpen, look to add pieces back perhaps in the pitching rotation. Maybe a Jordan Montgomery deal. Maybe. That would be the kind of move I think that would at least make Rangers fans feel a little bit better about Texas not going after someone crazy. Zach, I'm seeing Belly. Yeah, now Bellinger is an interesting piece, but I do think that he's probably going to re-sign with the Cubs. When I say re-sign, I mean exercise that option. I think he has an option for next year. I think it's pretty lucrative. I think Bellinger had a pretty good year for the Cubs. I don't think it was out of this world. I don't think it's to the extent that you're going to want to opt out of that deal. So I foresee Bellinger going back to the Cubs for another year. I really don't think he's going to be testing the market with that type of deal on the table. I think he's in the high 20s. Something like 28 million or something like that. I mean, I would not be testing the open market making 28 million. I know a lot of guys want the long-term deal, the security. I get that. Pretty hard to pass up 27 million for one season. Pretty hard to pass that up. Let me get to some comments here. Corey says from TikTok, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. What do I think was going on with Garcia this year? I think that what was going on with Garcia this year is a little bit of a World Series 2023 playoff hangover. Maybe there were a lot of miles on the tires from that last season. I know that the Rangers were really big on dispelling any notion that they were tired from the 2023 season and the gauntlet that they went through in October. But I do think that played a part. Jolie obviously did not finish the World Series last year. We all know this, and the Rangers, in spite of that, were able to still take home a championship. But I think that Dolly had some ailments this year as well that probably were not well documented. He was probably playing through them. At the end of the season, he sat out the last, game or two because of a knee issue, which the Rangers don't think is going to be serious by any means. But I do think that he was dealing with some injuries to an extent. And I think there was just regression. I think we know that Adolis Garcia is a streaky hitter, can be hot and cold. He's always been around 250, 240 for the average. The home runs, I mean, look, this was his first season where he was a little bit down with the power, at least the last couple of years. You look back. I think that Dolly is going to be better in 2025. I mean, look, you can't be worse hitting from the 4 spot. Look, you look at the numbers for Dolly, and they actually don't seem too bad, right? I mean, you go look up Dolly Garcia 2024 stats, You're not going to be like underwhelmed. They're decent stats. but you have to consider he's hitting from a prime RBI spot. And a lot of guys, if given the opportunity to hit from a 4 spot or a 3 spot the entire season, regardless of how well you're doing, and that was Adolis Garcia, by the way, right? Regardless of how well or bad Dolly was, we pretty much played him in the 4 spot exclusively. So you give a lot of guys an opportunity, 150 games from the cleanup spot, you're going to get some RBIs. You're going to drive in some runs. I don't think that Adolis is going to be as bad in 2025 as he was this year in 2024. I do hope for a bounce back. Let me check out YouTube here. Let's see what's going on. Facebook, Instagram, all you guys. I'll have to scroll back through here. Appreciate all y'all. I'm seeing a lot here. Let me sift through. Tristan, what's up, man? We need that win on Sunday night. Yep, absolutely. Go Cowboys. We're talking a little Rangers today, but we'll preview a little bit of that Cowboys game later on in the show. Of course, y'all here at Right on Rangers, we cover everything sports, but we put a big emphasis on all the teams we love from the great state of Texas, including the Rangers, especially the Rangers during the baseball season. Rangers are not playing right now. MLB playoffs going on. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but every Wednesday we do a little Texas Rangers off-season show. This month we're going to be talking a lot of playoff baseball alongside of it, but once we get into November, December, especially once the winter meetings get started up, really once the World Series is over, things start heating up. So it's going to be a little slow in the month of October for the Rangers, but fortunately, we've got the MLB playoffs. We got football. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. I also do a show after every Texas Longhorns game and Dallas Cowboys game as well. So if you're interested in either one of those teams or NFL, college football in general, please feel free to join me Saturdays and Sundays or whenever the heck the Cowboys are playing. Monday night, Thursday night, it's kind of all over the place throughout the NFL season. Let me keep going here. John, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. Was there any truth to the Monty rumors? Look, I think at this point, it would be, and I use this expression a lot, it'd be pretty criminal, I think, for CY to not at least explore the Jordan Montgomery situation. This is a guy that pitched in a World Series for you in a year you won a championship. Why would you not want to entertain Jordan Montgomery coming back? I think you at least have to make the phone call. The words that were spoken by Kendrick, the Diamondbacks owner, not good. I really don't see a path where Jordan Montgomery, comes back to the Diamondbacks. I really don't see that path. I think that he is going to be traded. I don't know where exactly or what the deal is going to be. I'd imagine it's going to be somewhat of a salary dump for the Diamondbacks. Maybe they get some kind of C-level prospect, but I really don't know if they're going to be able to continue on with Jordan Montgomery. He's not going to opt out. He is going to exercise the $22.5 million deal, 1-year deal. He'd be stupid not to do it. But at this point, time will tell, but I think CY would be silly to not at least inquire. So I don't know how true the rumors are or are not, but I will say I think very high likelihood the Rangers are checking into it. Be kind of silly not to. Let me keep on going here. Roll down. Tristan, yes, ready for that Red River rivalry. That's going to be a lot of fun. Texas playing OU. It's going to be a great weekend of sports. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me keep on going. Go Rangers for sure. Appreciate it. Go Rangers, man. It's going to be an interesting offseason for Texas. It really will be. I'm going through, by the way, all y'all on TikTok. I'm going through Facebook, YouTube, all those comments. Y'all drop something in the chat. I'll try and scroll back up YouTube if you got something. This comment says, I'd rather pay 25 to 30 million for Corbin Burns or Max Fried per year. Fried is actually somebody that was linked to the Rangers in an MLB.com article that I read probably about a month ago. No real validity to it at this point. I mean, it's all speculation. until the offseason really starts and the postseason's over. A lot of it's speculation, but Freed has been linked. Blake Snell has been linked to the Rangers as well. I think that those guys are probably only going to be guys that we end up going after if we can't get Evo and or Andrew Heaney back. And I know maybe some people might pause at the Andrew Heaney comment, but I think that he's a solid guy at the back end of a rotation. I would not be mad if the Rangers bring Andrew Heaney back. Now, I don't want Andrew Heaney back past a certain price point. I mean, you can't be paying the guy $20 million a year, but if we can get Andrew Heaney back on a decent deal, absolutely. But I do think that those guys, Freed, Snell, are really only going to be in play if Evo goes and signs elsewhere. Andrew Heaney goes. I don't know. Look, Jordan Montgomery, I think, is pretty low risk. So to go back to that comment, Jordan Montgomery's pretty low risk if you acquire him in a trade. What, you're going to give up a C-level prospect? It's not going to be anybody great. Look, they want to dump Jordan Montgomery. I don't think that they're trying to hold on to Monty, throw him out there, bait him in front of teams forever and ever. I think they want to move on. The Diamondbacks do. I can't see them holding out the entire offseason for the highest bidder. I think they're going to be pretty quick. They like the prospect. They like a little bit of cap relief. I know there's no cap, but I think you understand what I mean. A little bit of luxury tax or a little bit of salary relief. And then you see what happens. I think the Rangers should be in the mix. Why wouldn't you be? Look, and Montgomery might leave in 2025, but at the same time, if you're only paying him, say, $5 to $7 million, maybe $7 to $8 million, and you gave up a really low-level prospect, who cares? It's very likely the Rangers are going to go and try and sign a one-year starter of some kind. It's very likely that's going to happen. So I don't think that a one-year Jordan Montgomery deal should really phase anybody. The Rangers are going to do that anyways. I'll keep on going. How many Rangers games have I been to? Oh, way too many to count. I don't make it to a lot of Rangers games anymore. I was at World Series Game 1 last year. That's the last Rangers game that I attended. Normally, I can make it out to some kind of game out on the West Coast. My schedule was so hectic this year. Unfortunately, I didn't make it out to a game out in LA. A lot of y'all who have been following for a long time, I live out in Las Vegas. So, look, I'm happy that the A's are moving here. I know it's a very hot topic, but I'm actually really happy the A's are moving to Vegas because now I get to see the Rangers in my hometown. That's what's up. So I definitely know Oakland fans are not pumped about the move, and there's some people around baseball that are not, but I would absolutely love to see that deal 100% go through. I think it's not 100% a done deal yet. They're playing in Sacramento for a few seasons. There are plans, good plans, solid plans in place to build. You never know, something crazy could happen, but I'm looking forward to watching the Rangers in Vegas in a few years. All right, let me keep going here. Let me get to some comments here. What is Tavares' future with the Rangers? CY says Leody needs to take the next step, whatever that means. I think Leody Tavares has shown who he is and what he is capable of. I think he's a guy that can be good in 1 week streaks. But I always say for every one hot week you get from Leody, you're probably getting 3 cold ones. So I think Leody is exactly what he is this year. He's going to be the same thing next year. I don't see Leody taking the next step in his development, whatever you want to say. I just don't see that happening. But maybe I'm wrong and CY knows something I don't, but I just don't see Leody becoming a 275, 300 hitter. I really don't see that happening at all. Aaron, this comment's awesome. I know y'all can't see this on TikTok. Aaron says, Leote needs to take his next step out of Arlington en route to another team. I would tend to agree with my good friend Aaron. Aaron is on the money there. I think Leote would be best served getting traded to another team, or you just let him walk. I don't know if you're going to get a lot for Leote anyways, but for me, I'm letting Leote walk. Let's let Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford and Adolis Garcia. And you've got some young guys coming up in the farm system. You saw a couple of them. You got Dustin Harris. Hey, look, we didn't get a big sample size from Dustin Harris, but why wouldn't you let Dustin Harris at this point just take over what Leote was doing? I don't really see any reason why not to do that. And I think you've also got a couple of other really nice outfield prospects too down in AA. We've talked about some of those guys as well. I really think that moving on from Leote would be a wise decision. Natalie puts it well here, especially with Wyatt and Evan in the next generation. Yes, the Rangers drafted quite a few outfielders recent years. I do think that Leote would be better served on another team. And I do think Evan Carter is going to get platooned early on, but eventually, don't you want your top prospect? Evan Carter was the top prospect in the Rangers system. Wyatt Langford, had a little bit to say about that before he got called up, but don't you want your top prospect playing every day at some point? I mean, that would be common sense for me, but we'll see what happens. So let me keep going here. John, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. John on TikTok says, Devin Williams signing if Yates is gone. Now, Devin Williams did give up a pretty big home run in that wild card series, unfortunately. But I think Devin Williams is a guy that is going to be well sought out after on the open market. Will the Rangers go for a guy like Devin Williams? I could see it if they lose Yates. I think they're going to re-sign one or the other. I think Robertson is probably a little more likely than Yates is, but I think that they're going to find a way to at least bring back one of those two guys that really locked down the back end of our bullpen in 2024. I would be really, really surprised to see both of them walk. Of course, Robertson has a mutual option, which I think works in the Rangers' favor. That's why I say I feel a little more confident that we get Robertson back versus Yates. I mean, Yates is totally a free agent at this point. So we'll see what happens. But I do think Devin Williams would be a guy I'd be interested in. Now, what's Devin Williams going to command? I don't know. In terms of an average annual, he's probably a guy that is going to be able to get close to $10 million a year, I would think. So we'll see what the Rangers are willing to pay. Don't know. But I do think Devin Williams would be a guy that I would most certainly want to go after if we weren't able to get some of the guys back that we had this year in the bullpen. And I'm talking mainly Kirby Yates, David Robertson. Let me keep going. Somebody says, thanks for Acuna. Yeah, look, if the Mets go on to win it all this year, I think at this point, if you're a Rangers fan, the Max Scherzer trade, I think you look at that trade and you say to yourself, we won a World Series. But if you take out the World Series, it's a terrible trade. And if the Mets happen to win it all this year, the Mets definitely won that trade. I mean, I think that it is definitely a totally settled Mets win it all this year. The Acuna trade is theirs. I think the Mets and what they've accomplished this year, incredible. And that gets us into a little bit of what we wanted to talk about with MLB playoffs. I mean, you think about these underdogs continuing to dominate in the postseason. I mean, look, there's some series that aren't settled yet, right? The Tigers series is not completely settled yet. But you've got a few teams, the Mets, of course, winning it today, advancing on to the NLCS. These underdog teams knocking on the door, the non-bye teams, if you will, like the Rangers, right? Last year, the Rangers just sneak in the wild card spots and they go run the table You're seeing more of that this year. I was listening to John Smoltz a little bit on the Dodgers Padres broadcast, and I thought that his idea actually wasn't bad. And I know John Smoltz is kind of a polarizing figure in Rangers Nation, but I actually thought John Smoltz had a decent idea that I think that MLB would probably be wise to move to, which is you make the division series a 7-game series. Now, look, I think the main points on that are more money, more games. So I think from a business perspective, it seems kind of silly that you wouldn't be open to extending the division round to 7 games. I also think there's no doubt when you have a 7-game series who the better team is. Over the course of 7 games, yes, a team can still just be on an absolute tear, get hot, and beat the quote unquote better team in the regular season. But I wouldn't mind seeing a 7-game series in the DS. I really don't think that that would throw things off too much. And I think it makes the league more money because you're extending the postseason out a little bit more. There's more games. I think everybody's happy there. But maybe there's a couple of staunch defenders of the 5-game divisional round. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing more baseball. It really would not bother me to see a 7-game set in that divisional round. You guys let me know what you think. But I really don't feel like the bye thing is really that big of a deal. But I do think if these wild card teams continue to dominate in October and knock out the big boys that dominated the regular season, you're probably going to see a push for some kind of a change to try and level the playing field. I don't know. I don't get it. The leveling of the playing field should be that whoever wins the division, the top 2 division winners in each league, you get to set up your rotation. You get to rest guys that might be a little beat up. I think that it's pretty fair in that regard. That being said, I do think the DS should absolutely be a 7-game series. I don't think there's any reason not to do it. Like I said, more games, more money for the league, and you leave no doubt, right? Over a 7-game series, you're just not going to have a lot of flukes. Another reason why you look at what the Rangers did, I mean, they obviously swept their series with the Orioles, the 3-game set. I mean, look, not a lot of teams are going to come back from 3-0. So I don't think we have any sweeps in the divisional round this year, but I think the Rangers last year sweeping the Orioles, that was pretty clear to me. The Orioles aren't going to come back and win 4 in a row in that spot. But with some of these series this year that are close, 1-1, 2-1, right? The Yankees are up 2-1. And then you got the Dodgers, Padres 2-2. Tigers are up 2-1. You got some pretty close series. I think that all of these series would probably be better off with a 7-game. I mean, even the Mets and even the Mets series, that one I think would have been good for 7 games too. Honestly, the Mets Phillies would have been a good 7-gamer. Yeah, the Mets are up 3-1, but you never know. It goes back to Philadelphia. We'll see what happens, right? You just don't know in a 7-game set. So I think moving to a 7-game format for the DS is a move I would absolutely make. Let me go to TikTok here. Check things out here. Keep going. Stars fan? Yes. Grew up loving the Stars. Watched a lot of Dallas Stars game. I must be 100% forthright. Out here in Vegas, I've lived out here for about 15 years. No professional sports when I got out here at all. First professional sports team, Vegas Golden Knights, of course. And I know the Knights and Stars have had their back and forths, but I am a Knights fan for sure. But the Stars always have a special place in my heart. I keep up with the Stars, so if you want to talk Stars ever, hit it up in the chat. We'll talk. All right, let me keep going here. Texas Rangers fans only. What's up? Thanks for tuning in. Neither team in SoCal will accept that the other was actually the better team. Yep. Look, that's going to be a great series. That is really going to be an awesome series. It already is. I wish that it could be a 7 game. Like, who wouldn't want to see Dodgers Padres go 7? I mean, that series is awesome theater. So I would love to see a 7 game for the DS. I promise I'm not lying. I do love the Golden Knights. And look, I don't hide from that at all. But we still always have a good spot for the Dallas Stars in our hearts. The Knights are out of it. It's Stars all the way. Hey, and the Knights, I believe, started out with a win tonight over the Avalanche. What are the Stars doing? What do they got going on? Tomorrow they play, right? Predators. That's going to be fun. That's a great game. Dallas Stars at Nashville Predators. That's a great game. Of course, Nashville stole one of the Golden Knights, one of the original Golden Knights, Jonathan Marchessault. So I'm interested to see him for the Preds. Preds really reloaded a little bit this offseason. So we'll see what they end up doing. But we'll get to hockey more in a little while. All right, let's keep things going here. So the postseason the rest of the way. I saw a few people asking for predictions, things like that. I think it's anybody's World Series right now. I will say this. The Mets, they look to be maybe that Rangers 2023 team. Like, nobody really thought they were going to do it, but they're just hot and gelling as a team right now. Maybe you see the Mets make a run. I don't know. I would have never thought that back in May, back in June. If y'all remember, some of you guys were watching with me in June. We were talking about, and I see a Pete Alonso comment here. Appreciate that comment, by the way. I saw a lot of Pete Alonso trade rumors in May and June. We talked about Pete Alonso. Would the Rangers maybe go after him at the trade deadline? Then the Mets just went on a crazy run and ended up being the best team in baseball after they came back from London. I don't know if y'all remember that London series. It was Phillies Mets, and they said it on the broadcast today. After the London series, the Mets were the best team in baseball the rest of the way. That's pretty crazy. I think the London series was in June, if I'm not mistaken. So look, Pete Alonso, I think if he wins it all with the Mets, I find it really hard to believe they're not going to re-sign him, especially with that epic 3-run blast against the Brewers. I just find it really hard to believe if Pete Alonso and the Mets make a deep run. I really don't think that they are going to let him walk in free agency. I don't. I don't see how you could. Now, if they do let him walk, I think he's going to be overpriced for the Rangers. And the Rangers have a tough spot. We've talked about Nate Lowe. Nate Lowe had the second best OPS on the team behind Corey Seager, the Gold Glove, and he's only $10 million next year. I don't think that we're going to be getting rid of Nate Lowe or making him a bench player. So I don't think the Rangers are going to be making a play at Pete Alonso at all. Even if they were interested, I just think he's going to be too expensive, and there's going to be somebody else that probably steps in and makes a deal if the Mets don't do it. And I think the Mets would be foolish not to do it. Appreciate the question and the follow, by the way. Yeah, the Phillies, look, the Phillies had an up and down second half, I feel like, and I don't know what the Phillies are going to do next year. Last year felt like it was the year for them. This year, you thought maybe they could have a little success if they faced up against the right matchups, but I don't know. I think the Phillies, it might be getting close to the end of an era with them. I think last year was the year. The Diamondbacks, I think, totally broke them. This year, they just did not have the same feel. They had moments, but look, the Phillies have a talented roster. I'm not saying they're falling off a cliff, but they just did not have the same feel as they did in 2023. And the Diamondbacks kicking them out of the playoffs last year, you just wonder, did it have some kind of effect? I don't know. Locke, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. If they don't address first base this winter, I put my money on them getting Naylor. So I think that you have to kind of buy another year with the first base situation. I don't think there's anybody that you really have to have at first base who's a free agent. I mean, Pete Alonso, I'm not trying to be disrespectful in the least. He's a great player. I just don't think you want to overpay for Pete. But I do think with Nate Lowe being as affordable as he is, 10 million, you're getting a pretty solid like 260, 20 homer, 75 RBI guy. I mean, look, ideally you want your first baseman to have a little more pop, but I think that the Rangers are going to bide their time and they're going to do another year with Nate Lowe. Then maybe in the 2026 offseason, you see them make some kind of move. That would be my prediction there. Next question. Do I think the Astros dynasty is over? Not completely. I'm curious to see where Bregman ends up. Great questions, by the way. Thank you so much. I'm curious to see where Bregman ends up. Now, look, even if they don't have Bregman come back next year, I do think the Astros are still going to be a good team. I think they're going to be a good team next year. I think they'll make the playoffs, wild card, division winner. Look, I don't really care about the division. If the Rangers win the division, great. If they don't, they don't. Hopefully they can at least get a wild card spot, get in. That's all I need. I don't really hold up the division as something that means a whole heck of a lot. You just look at what's going on the past several years with the playoffs. A lot of division winners get knocked out. So for me, it's nice, but it's not really something that I'm like holding up on a pedestal. So I think the Astros are going to be good next year. The pitching is probably the biggest question mark with them. So you've got Valdez. You've got, a few other guys in there as well. Hunter Brown established himself. I think Verlander, he's out the door. I don't think that they're probably going to bring him back. I'd be really surprised. He just did not look great this second half after coming back from the injury. But the Astros, I think, have some talent absolutely for the next couple of years to get them back to the playoffs. I do think that their window is closing. I don't think that the farm system is amazing. I think that they have done a lot of selling off of the farm system the past couple of years, going after it all. So we'll see. But they've got Valdez. They've got Javier. They have Garcia. They've got some names. They've got Blanco. And those guys got hurt this year. They've still got some guys in the bullpen that are pretty legit. Abreu, Hader. I know Hader had a rough end to the 2024 season, but I think that the Astros definitely are good enough to make it to the playoffs next year. Do I think the dynasty is over? Yeah, I do think the dynasty is over in the sense of the ALCS 7 straight or whatever it was. Do I think the Astros are done being a good team? Not yet. Not yet. I think that eventually, though, give it 3 years, 4 years, we'll see. They're going to have Kyle Tucker free agency coming up. They're going to have Yordan Alvarez free agency coming up. We'll see. We'll see what they can do. Astros AAA did win the championship. That is true. That being said, I don't put a lot of stock in AAA championships. And I'm not just saying that. We know, when I say we, not just Rangers fans, baseball fans in general. I think we know that it's not always translating from AAA to the major leagues with some players. It doesn't always translate. You can be really good in AAA and not be good when you get to the majors. So for me, the fact that the Astros won the AAA, it's not nothing. It's not a nothing burger, but it's not everything. It's not, oh, we're set for years to come. We won the AAA championship. I would not feel that way if it were the Rangers, by the way. If the Rangers won the AAA championship, I'd say, nice, golf clap. But I'm not going to sit there and proclaim the Rangers have the best farm system. the Rangers have a super, super bright future just because they won the AAA championship. All right, let me keep going here. We got any more comments on TikTok? I heard the Rangers fans hate the Yankees. Yeah, Rangers fans don't like Yankees. We don't like the Astros, don't like the Yankees. The Angels, we had a little bit of a rivalry with in the early 2010s, I feel like. It doesn't feel like that's there anymore. The Angels are just like so far down there in the dumpster right now. I mean, look, I think they need some new leadership in the front office. But the Angels at one time were kind of a little bit of a rivalry. I don't really feel that way anymore. So I would say for me, Yankees, Astros, top two teams that I do not care for in the slightest. But look, it's really not, there's really not a whole lot of big rivalries, I don't feel like, beyond that. Alex, what's up, man? Alex says, I know Rangers fans are cheering for the Dodgers, right? Are Rangers fans cheering for the Dodgers? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I find myself cheering for the former Rangers players. And I do think that there's a former Ranger on like every team, technically. But I will say this. Yu Darvish, one of my favorite former Rangers, San Diego Padres, right? Martin Perez, I don't know if he's on the roster for the divisional round, but another guy, wasn't like a Ranger great, but I like Martin Perez. And then Jurickson Profar, a guy that never completely panned out for the Rangers. Those three guys, for me, I like cheering for them. So I can't say I'm actively cheering for the Dodgers. I can't say I'm actively cheering for the Padres, but if I'm being 100% real, I like seeing the Padres guys do well that played for the Rangers. Like I found myself cheering for Darvish, cheering for Profar. So that's me. Look, if the Dodgers win, am I gonna, be upset or pissed off? No, not at all. In fact, it's really not going to bother me at all who wins the World Series. I'd like to see the Yankees not get another championship. So if the Yankees could just not get another championship, I think I'm good with pretty much everybody else. Even the Dodgers. Like if the Dodgers win another one, look, they won in the 80s? They won the COVID year. If the Dodgers won this year, it wouldn't be the end of the world for me. Usually, though, I prefer the smaller markets to win. So if we can get KC coming back, if we can get Detroit winning it all, New York Mets are not a small market team, but they are kind of like the other team in New York. I mean, shoot, even Nimmo was talking about it in the locker room post game when they were celebrating. Nimmo was going back and forth with Derek Jeter. And Nimmo basically, called it out, right? Called out the elephant in the room. Like, Derek Jeter playing for the Yankees. The Yankees are the team in New York City. And the Mets are kind of that other team. And the Mets, at the beginning of the year, Nimmo was saying, set out to prove or dispel that notion. So I'm here for it. I'm here for the Mets winning it. That'd be a lot of fun. So give me a smaller market or a team that's not as much of a juggernaut as the Yankees or the Dodgers. I'd love to see it. And the Mets, I think, have a very good shot. A lot of winning it all in October, in my opinion, is you just got to get hot at the right time. You got to click as a team at the right time. Even if the regular season had its ups and downs, if you get hot in October, again, look at the Rangers last year. Nobody expected the Rangers to not lose a single road game in the postseason. And they did it because they got hot at just the right time and they clicked as a unit at just the right moment. Keep going here. Let me scroll back through some of my comments here on YouTube, Facebook, all that stuff. Texas Rangers fans only says, Tigers are the AL Mets. We could have back-to-back dual Cinderella World Series seasons. I'm here for it. Give me a Tigers Mets. Like, I know that isn't going to pull a huge number, Tigers Mets, but I would love to see a Tigers Mets World Series. Like, I am not one of those fans like, if it's nobody good playing, I'm not watching it. I'll watch pretty much every series. It drives my wife nuts. She's like, "Really? Why do we got to watch this game? I thought the Rangers were done this year." She doesn't have a lot of sympathy for our boys, for our Texas Rangers, but yeah, I'm just giving a hard time. She's actually a pretty good sport, cheering for the Rangers as much as I've got them on. But look, it kind of drives her a little nuts because I'll watch any playoff series and get invested. Like, watching the Tigers Guardian series, like I've enjoyed watching that series. I had it on today, kind of off and on during the day, and it was great. And I don't get to know all of the rosters of all these postseason teams, so I actually really enjoy it. So I'm invested. That Yankees KC series, that was a lot of fun watching that. Today was an awesome day if you're a baseball fan. You literally had 4 games back to back to back. It's like March Madness for baseball fans today. I mean, you got to love it. Gotta love it. Let me keep going here. I appreciate all the follows, by the way. I see some people on TikTok following. Sally, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. Deer Hunter, what's up? Do you see the Rockies getting moved or dissolved? Doesn't seem like they are functional. I would say no. I haven't heard any rumblings about the Rockies. The teams that I think drive MLB the most insane are the teams in Florida. I think the Marlins and the Rays drive MLB nuts. The low attendance, the stadium issues, like you got to build the stadium in the perfect place. Otherwise, nobody's going to come to the game. Like, I just think those two teams are probably much more prime candidates to be moved over the team like the Rockies. I think the Rockies actually have a pretty good fan base when they're good. When they're bad, it's going to be hit or miss. But you watch when the Rockies actually have a good team, there's a lot of Rockies fans and they will pack that house. I mean, think about the Rays last year. Rangers fans, you guys remember the Rays series last year? That stadium was freaking empty for the first 2 games of that series, the only 2 games. It was empty. And yeah, I did see that, John, by the way, Tampa Bay Stadium. I don't know if y'all saw that. The Trop got basically the roof ripped off by that hurricane. Prayers 100% to all the people in Florida and the southeast part of the country affected by the hurricane. My goodness. Some of those scenes and videos and pictures, overwhelming. So prayers for all the people down there, for safety, for recovery, whether it's health related, whether it's financial, home related. I can't even imagine. But I did see the Trop roof totally ripped off. Maybe that's going to be what they need to fully get that new stadium in effect. I think it already is. I think they're building a new stadium already for the Rays. Look, I would be moving the Rays. I don't think the Rays are going to be a team that ever gets crazy support. I really do think they need to move the Florida teams. I don't think Florida has proven itself to be a place that can sustain a fan base. And yeah, you've got the indoor stuff going on with the new stadium that they're going to build, the Rays. And of course, Miami has a roof as well. But it's Florida in the summertime. And they kind of did. I watch a couple of different YouTubers, and one of them basically made the point with Miami, per se, that you've got kind of an interesting dynamic with people leaving in the summertime, right? The snowbirds, they are leaving in the summertime to go back up north. And so maybe the people that have the money that would go to the games aren't going to the games because they're heading back up north to get away from the 100% humidity in Miami. So I'd like to see, before the Rockies get moved, one of those Florida teams. Let me keep going here. Let me scroll back just a little bit. People get mad when the big market teams get bounced. But what does that tell you? Best teams, and then you trailed off a little bit on me. But look, I'm not at all upset when the best teams get bounced. Now, I do hear in the big sports market, the talking heads, whatever you want to call them, they like it when the big boys stay in it, right? The Yankees, the Dodgers, they want those guys staying in as long as possible. Me, right on Rangers, small little social media channel, for now, I would love any matchup. And I would actually enjoy a Tigers Mets World Series, for example. That'd be great. Let me keep going here. Hot take as a Phillies fan. Bohm needs to get traded, and we need to work on our bullpen. I agree. There was something, the bullpen was off in Philadelphia down the stretch. I agree. Bohm, wasn't he an all-star? Was he an all-star starter? I thought Alec Bohm was the all-star starter this year. I mean, look, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that's kind of a crazy drop-off, is it not? I mean, Alec Bohm, I think, is a pretty decent player. I don't know or pretend to know exactly what the Phillies need to get back on track. I did make the comment earlier in the show. It just felt like last year was the year for them, and the Diamondbacks just totally snuffed it out. They just didn't feel like the same team to me this year. Yeah, Florida is it's not a baseball state. I mean, there's a lot of baseball that gets played there, but it's not a place I think that can sustain a major league team long term. He had one good month, and that was it. His average is awful. Baseball is a cruel sport. You can have a really good month of April and May and then have a terrible rest of the year. That's how it goes sometimes. We'll keep going. Aaron says, by the way, I know y'all on TikTok can't see all the YouTube comments. It's a stupid integration thing. TikTok won't let me broadcast from my computer. Wish that they would, but not able to get that set up. So anyways, y'all have to be good with just reading the comments. But Aaron from YouTube says, I would not trade Bohm for any reason. I don't know who you're going to replace him with. That would be my initial thought. Who are you going to replace Alec Bohm with? Maybe go out and get somebody, but I don't even know which third basemen are really available. I don't know. Talking back Rangers here. John, what's up, man? Thanks for the comments. If Josh Young stays healthy, hopefully all-star again next season, I could absolutely see that. You've got Josh Young hitting, over 400 before he got hurt? He had an awesome start to 2024. That's why it was so frustrating and disappointing that he got hurt when he did, because it really looked like Josh Young was taking off. I do really hope that this is a great bounce back year for him. You give the extended time off for the wrist to totally heal. We'll see what happens. We'll see. John, that's what I said. Bohm was an all-star. I think he had a really good first half is kind of the argument being made here. Really trailed off in the second half. Anyways. All right, let's keep things rolling, y'all. So, look, any more comments, any questions you want to throw my way, Rangers related, MLB related? We're going to wrap things up here in a little under 10. We've been going for about 50 minutes strong here. It's great. I love it. But it is getting a little bit late, man. And we are after midnight now in Texas, after 1 a.m. on the East Coast. Appreciate all y'all hanging with me, tuning in. This is kind of going to be the rhythm, by the way, with the show time, right around 9 o'clock my time, 11 p.m. in Texas. Maybe sometimes I'll be able to go a little bit earlier, but this is kind of when things get settled out around my house a little bit. So we'll probably be going about this time every Wednesday. So baseball is going to be on Wednesdays in the offseason. We'll talk Rangers offseason. We'll talk MLB playoffs as long as they're going on. And then on the weekends, we do football. So Saturday, we'll do college football. I love the Texas Longhorns. And then the Dallas Cowboys are my NFL team. I know it's polarizing. Hate it, love it. But I come by it honestly. Grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. A lot of my family graduated from UT, Texas Longhorns, fans, true and true. So if you like any of those teams, or you just want to come hang out, we'll talk all college football. We'll talk anything NFL on Sundays. It'll be a lot of fun. Come back this weekend, but Wednesdays are kind of going to be the day. So during this month, I'm going to focus on playoffs. Once we get into November, I'll start doing some Ranger-specific segments. Always going to take time for Q&A, for questions, for teams, players around the league, especially in free agency. It's fun just kind of talking about anybody, possibilities, theoreticals, all of that good stuff. So it'll be open season here soon enough, but that's kind of the plan for the off-season show. So, yep, I'll be back on Saturday after Red River. The Longhorns will play the Sooners this weekend on Saturday at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. That's going to be a blast. Hopefully, the Horns can get the job done. And then the Cowboys will be playing on Sunday. I think the Lions are coming to town, if I'm not mistaken. When is that game, by the way? Let me look this up real quick. Lions Cowboys is 1:25, so it's the 3:25 game. All right, there you go. That should probably be game of the week. Are we going to get Brady again for that game? That makes sense. Game of the week, I would think. Lions 3-1, Cowboys 3-2, and then the Cowboys will go into the bye week after the Lions. When they get back from the bye, they will face off against the 49ers out in San Francisco. It's going to be fun. We'll see. Let me keep on going here. I'll get back to comments. I'm going to do one final run through, and then we're going to call it a night. Aaron says, I feel like Cleveland shot its shot this series. Class A loss feels like it was the tipping point. I don't know. Baseball is such a weird sport with momentum. Like, I felt like the Padres had all the momentum tonight. I would have. I didn't, but I said to myself, one of the guys I work with is a big Padres fan. We were talking. I just felt like there was no way they were going to let this game go back to LA. And they come out and they get shut out. I mean, that's just how baseball goes sometimes. I know it's a cliche, but I thought that the Padres had all the momentum and we're going to close it out tonight. So back to this comment. I don't know if the Guardians are done. I don't know if they're done. They've got a pretty decent team. The Tigers do feel like they've got something special. I am not ready to say the Guardians are dead yet, but it does feel like the Tigers and the Mets just have that something special this postseason. I really, really am excited to see how it all goes. I wish we were getting another 4 slate tomorrow, man. That was, like I said, this was like March Madness for baseball fans, getting to watch game after game after game after game. Today, 4 in a row. Gotta love it. I don't know. I know people complain, like, why are you scheduling games during the day? I don't know. Whenever there's a day playoff game, I'm kind of like, it's fun. Makes the day kind of go a little bit quicker. You got something to keep your eye on, especially if your favorite team's playing. I don't know. I know there's a lot of whining about why aren't all these games in prime time? I don't know. I think it's fine. Back to back to back to back like they did today. I'm here for it. That's just me. We'll see, though. Tomorrow, who do we got tomorrow? It's the AL series, right? The NL series. Obviously, the Mets wrap theirs up. So now we're just waiting on Padres, Dodgers. That series wraps up on Friday. And then we have the AL series tomorrow. So let's go to MLB.com. What are the pitching matchups here? Let's see what we got. So for tomorrow, we've got the Guardians, Tigers. Bybee is throwing, and the Tigers have not announced their starter. So you got Tanner Bybee. He faced the Rangers a couple of times. Bybee is a pretty good pitcher. Bybee is a pretty solid pitcher. So we'll see there. And then what else do we have? Let's check out the Yankees Royals preview. Cole versus Waka. Garrett Cole got hit around a little bit against the Royals in game 1. I definitely don't feel like he is like lockdown dude anymore. Still a great pitcher, but I'm souring a little bit on Garrett Cole. It just doesn't seem like the dude that went, like 20-0 in Houston. Do y'all remember that year Garrett Cole had with the Astros where they lost, right? That was the Washington Nationals Astros World Series. Wasn't Garrett Cole like some ungodly like 20-1 or something like that year? So, look, I don't know if Garrett Cole is ever going to be that guy again. Got hit around a little bit by the Royals in game 1. Just wouldn't be surprised if the Royals are able to get to him in game 4 before the series shifts back to game 5 in New York. John says he was 19-0 that year. It's insane. That was an insane year from Garrett Cole, and I remember that was his free agency year. Like, the dude couldn't have had the best year of his career at a better time. You go 19-0, and then, oh yeah, I just happened to be entering free agency. Like, you couldn't have played that better. You could not have played that any better. So I'm going to say for tomorrow, predictions, I'm going to say both series go to a game 5. That's my prediction for tomorrow. Royals get the job done tomorrow, and the Guardians extend it out to a game 5. They send it back to Cleveland, and we have game 5 on, what'll it be, Saturday? That'll be great. I'm just a fan of more baseball, so of course I'm going to cheer for a game 5 in both of these series. I just want more baseball. High stakes baseball. Like, if I can't have the Rangers in it, give me more high stakes, highly entertaining baseball. My favorite sport, the sport that I love. I'm here for it. All right, y'all. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. Like I said, especially late night. If you're not following or you're not subscribed to the channel already, I would greatly appreciate if you hit that follow or subscribe button. And hey, hit that notification button, notification bell, if you will also get notified every time we go live and post our latest and greatest content. And if you know somebody that loves baseball, loves college football, NFL, we're going to talk NBA as well when NBA gets started. Please send them my way. We definitely favor all the teams we love from Texas, the Rangers, the Longhorns, the Cowboys, the Mavericks, but we pretty much talk anything on the show. My guys that have been following along for a long time, you know how it goes. So send some people my way. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for all the comments. Those comments help make this show good. I could definitely go on. I think y'all know I could yap on for a while about just about anything, but I love the comments. They keep the show fresh. So thank you again. Hope y'all have a great rest of your Wednesday night and a great week ahead. Only a couple days left before the weekend. We'll be back on Saturday to talk Longhorns, Sunday to talk Cowboys. Come back and join us. And as I always say to end every show, God bless and go Rangers.